everyone, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Jacqueline Boyd. I'm the founder of the Care Plan, which is dedicated to your health and aging wellness. We work one-on-one with individuals and families to plan and manage a variety of healthcare issues. One of the major concerns we often see is around finances, specifically how to pay for care. We wanted to do a video about simple strategies for financial wellness when caregiving, so this is that video. Our first piece of advice is to take the time to build trust. Have you ever been in the position of having to bring up a difficult subject and had the person completely shut down? This happens all the time, especially with caregivers who are trying to understand finances for their parents, their aunts or uncles, sometimes even their partners or girlfriends or boyfriends or friends. It can be really tricky to have these conversations and difficult to know how to bring it up. So sometimes people will just blurt it out and say, well, I need to know what's going on with your finances in case something happens. Think about how you would respond to that type of approach and try to adjust how you approach that person around this topic. For example, as a caregiver, you can have these conversations over time. Oftentimes it's a concern for you, but it's not an immediate issue. So when it starts to be a concern, start to bring the subject up over time, slowly and steadily, rather than all at once. Ask your loved one about what they did for the people they took care of. How did they feel when they were trying to pull together paying the bills and making sure that everything was taken care of financially? Was it easy? Was it hard? How did they approach it? And how would they want you to do that if you're ever in that position? Let them know that you're interested in helping at some point in time, maybe not now, but at some point in the future when they're ready. That helps people not feel put on the spot about their finances or like you're trying to get in their pocketbook essentially, and helps start a conversation. Our next piece of advice is to plan ahead. Healthcare and long-term care is very expensive. You're thinking, right, okay, Jackie, tell me something I don't know. Most people underestimate how expensive care is and overestimate how far their resources will take them. For example, in 2018, right here in Chicago, the cost to hire a caregiver ranged from about $22 an hour to $28 an hour. And for live-in care, somebody to be there around the clock, it's upwards of $300 or more. So even folks that have upwards of $1 million set aside, that money goes very quickly. And financial planning and being smart and planning ahead of time will help preserve assets and make sure that, again, you stay in control of the financial picture. Being realistic about the cost of care will help you make better decisions on behalf of your loved ones. Medicaid planning is a term you may have heard before. Medicaid planning is very complex as the regulations vary state to state and often by other factors such as income level or marital status. Medicaid planning is best done at least 5 years ahead of when you think you'll actually qualify for Medicaid. So that's something to keep in mind if you're caring for a loved one. It's long-term planning financially that you should also be concerned about. Our third piece of advice is to watch the numbers. Recently, I received a call from a woman in her 80s who kept coming up short near the end of the month. Her family was getting very frustrated and upset with her about her requesting money or needing money on short notice. It was really damaging to their relationship as a family. I had the opportunity to meet with her and sit down and just review what she was spending her money on, go through her bank records, and we found out that she was spending much more than she thought on Uber and eating out. She thought she was spending maybe $200 a month on those things. She was spending over $600 a month. No wonder she was getting to the end of the month and felt like she had nothing. Through our conversation, I was able to share resources and help her access free transportation services so that Uber bill could go down. In addition, we talked about being consistent about shopping at her mid-level grocery store instead of picking up items at the shop in the building, because the shop in the building was costing her 3 times as much as she would pay at her regular grocery store. I share this because watching the numbers is incredibly enlightening, whether it's for yourself or for the person you're caregiving for. Do a financial audit of the past few months. Identify areas where you can adjust spending patterns and build and stick to a budget. These are all things that will save your sanity and your bottom line. Our fourth piece of advice on this topic is to consult experts. None of us can know everything, and financial planners who work with older adults in particular, as well as elder care attorneys, can be a wonderful resource for you when talking about financial planning or Medicaid planning. They are knowledgeable about the legal tools available to protect your assets, how and when to apply for Medicaid, and can often provide other trusted resources because they work in this field all the time. So don't be afraid to consult with an expert, even if it's a paid fee. Oftentimes that's money well spent that will save you money in the long run. And our fifth piece of advice is to seek resources. There are often free or subsidized programs available to help pay for the cost of care or the cost of aging. You may be familiar with veterans benefits, or maybe you've heard about the Area Agency on Aging. You might consider exploring grants to offset costs of care and making sure that you're really exploring all those options so that, again, the financial burden doesn't become too much for you or your loved one. Consulting with a care navigator or care manager is a great starting place to familiarize yourself with area resources and get a sense for what your loved one would qualify for. Oftentimes families will call us just for an initial consultation to talk through their top priority issues, what their concerns are, and understand the landscape of health and aging and how we can provide resources that are valuable to them. It's unreasonable to think that when you become a caregiver that you will also become an expert on aging or healthcare or finances or insurance or any of the other hats that you are suddenly wearing as a caregiver. Seeking resources can really help ease that burden. Okay, the pain is over, the financial talk is through. Thank you so much for watching our channel. Please do subscribe. We want to be connected to you. You are part of the Care Plan community. We value you, and don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any questions. Again, I'm Jacqueline Boyd. Thank you and take good care.